Hey guys, what's going on? Dr. Frank here, founder of Addiction Mindset Recovery Coaching Programs. And in today's brief video, we're going to talk about the proposed FDA ban on menthol flavored cigarettes and menthol flavored cigar products. We're also going to discuss the White House's proposal to make it a federal regulation to lower the nicotine concentration of all combustible cigarettes to non-addictive levels. So basically lowering all the nicotine in cigarettes to non-addictive or non-existent levels. I strongly disagree with each of these things, if I'm going to be blunt with you. And this is coming from a guy who runs a company that actually helps people quit nicotine, THC, energy drinks, and adult media content. So subscribe if you need help with those things. Okay. So the claims. So they're claiming that menthol cigarettes are more addictive because of the added flavoring. Now, if you ask smokers, a lot of smokers will tell you, look, menthol cigarettes are trash. And what does this mean to me? It means that I'm going to just start smoking a different type of cigarette. Plain and simple. I'm not going to quit. I'm simply going to switch over to utilizing a different type of cigarette, one that's not menthol flavored. Now, why specifically are they going after menthol cigarettes? This is kind of interesting. The claim is that menthol cigarettes impact predominantly African American communities and that it puts them at a larger health risk, okay? Now, this statistically, I can't disagree with this. There's no way to deny that. And I'm always for helping any community that's being targeted. If you guys have seen my other videos, you know that. Here's the problem, though. This is what we're doing. So we're legalizing marijuana, which I fully agree with, and we're claiming that we're going to bring this to African American communities. We're going to bring dispensaries there. We're going to bring jobs there. We're going to bring more marijuana to African American communities because we've been wrongfully targeting them for marijuana possession and things like that. Awesome. Great. I'm all for legalization. I'm all for decriminalization of it. But in the same breath, you're now saying, listen, it seems like African American communities utilize more menthol-based nicotine products, cigarettes, so we're going to ban those. And what is the number one way to get someone to do something more? Tell them they're not allowed to do it. Okay? The worst thing you can do for someone who's addicted to something is to just take it away from them. Because people who struggle from addictions, like myself, are very intelligent people. And where there's a will, there's definitely a way, especially when it comes to addiction. So I can almost guarantee you, and we'll look back at this video in a few years after this all goes through and we'll see, that the ban on menthol cigarettes is going to backfire dramatically. And I'm going to tell you why. Cigarette smuggling, for those of you that don't know, is already a thing. Now, many people claim, no, that's not a real thing. Actually, it's mostly fabricated by the big tobacco companies. It's big tobacco that's actually smuggling their own products because they're not really worried as long as they get paid at the end of the day. Let's say that's true. There's already a massive network set up for the smuggling of cigarette products. The network is already there. The framework, the groundwork is already there. It's already existent. So now what are you going to do? Instead of people having to pay the taxes that they have to pay, especially here in New York State on tobacco products or whatever the federal state law taxes are, people aren't going to have to pay those taxes anymore. What's going to actually happen is people are going to be able to acquire menthol cigarettes at probably a cheaper rate than they currently are now, assuming the amount of cigarette smuggling goes up. That's one of my predictions too. My other problem with this is you're not doing anything to help people quit. Taking something away from a person, it does not help them quit. That's educating them, and not the junk education that we're giving people now. Cigarettes are bad for you. Don't know, you might get lung cancer. Don't you know this? Don't you do that? No, helping people build confidence, giving people a new hobby, giving people a new career, giving people an education so they feel empowered to go accomplish things. That's how you pull someone out of addiction. not by this fear mongering and now saying, okay, we're just going to take it away from a person. This has failed us before. Look at the war on drugs. We know that this approach does not work. So why in the world are we going to re-employ the same approach that we essentially took to the war on drugs on a smaller scale against menthol cigarettes? Now they say, okay, listen, no, Dr. Frank, we're going to ban menthol cigarettes, but we're also going to lower the nicotine content in all cigarettes across the board. I'm going to put a link to a guy's YouTube. I love his YouTube channel. He just smokes cigarettes and talks. I think he has a great channel. I don't condone anything he does. I hope I get a chance to collaborate with him and quit one day. Jacob Jones is his name. I put a link to his channel below. But I agree with him 100%. He made a video on this. What are people going to do? They're simply just going to smoke more cigarettes to get that same amount of nicotine. Okay, if you give someone who's addicted to a substance a weaker substance, you have to understand the basics of addiction. That person has a tolerance and they have a dependence. And they're going to increase their usage until they can hit that tolerance, until they can break through to feel comfortable with the amount of nicotine that they're consuming. So what will these people do? They might consume more cigarettes, or the market is going to open up for other flavored nicotine products, flavored chewing tobacco, flavored nicotine pouches, such as Zen pouches and On pouches. Now, granted, yes, those things are not necessarily as harmful as cigarettes, and that might be a great harm reduction thing if that happens. But at the end of the day, this does nothing to break nicotine addiction. This does nothing to help the person who is actually struggling with addiction. And we've seen this time and time and time again. We're actually going to talk about a company that holds stock in these products that the FDA is going to approve. So stay tuned for that at the end of this video. This is going to be interesting if you guys want to try and make some money if this happens. So, not financial advice. Here's the other thing that disgusts me about this. The ploy is we're going to lower nicotine products and we're going to get rid of menthol products because of COVID. They're blaming this on COVID. We're going to lower the amount of nicotine in cigarettes because of COVID so people smoke less. So we have less lung problems. Let's look at who COVID impacts predominantly. People with diabetes, obesity, hypertension, and cardiac conditions. In fact, there's some research out there saying that nicotine might actually prevent the binding of COVID-19 to some of your cells and your receptors. Look it up. So, if that's the case, if this is about COVID, shouldn't we be talking about banning sugar? Shouldn't we be talking about helping the African American community? If that's what this is about, African Americans and COVID, shouldn't we be talking about how maybe the fast food industry targets their neighborhoods, or how all the sugars and the sodas and the pops and the Mountain Dews and Pepsi and Coca-Cola? Shouldn't we be more concerned about that if it's really about a person's health? Because last time I checked, diabetes and heart disease were some of the leading causes of death, in particularly among that demographic. So where's the education on that? Where is the help on that? I understand it's not there because maybe the financial resources aren't there. So why aren't we helping people get the skills that they need to make better decisions, to have more confidence so they don't have to struggle with addiction, so they can make more money, so they can afford better things, so maybe they can get out of this environment that unfortunately they're stuck in? It really disgusts me, especially as someone who provides free content for people that actually helps people quit, that actually accomplishes something. So that's right off the bat. Those are my predominant concerns, and I think I bring up some valid points. Let me know if you agree with me. Now, the second thing becomes this. What is this? This is an infringement upon your freedoms. So here was something that you were once allowed to do. Now you're no longer allowed to do it because we said it's bad for you. The beauty of America is if you want to destroy your body with alcohol, tobacco, whatever else it is out there, you're free to do that. Yes, addiction is a disease, but you're also free to go get help. You're also free to go make a change. That's the beauty of America. If someone wants to drink, they can. I help people quit that stuff, but they're allowed to do it. I'm not going to tell someone how to live their life. And I don't think it's a good idea to do that, because I can tell you from an addiction recovery coaching standpoint, when we try and tell someone how they're supposed to live their life, it 100% of the time backfires. I used to operate that way. You couldn't tell me what to do. If your life depended on it, you couldn't tell me what to do. So what's this mean? Now you take this away. Are there going to be stricter regulations? What about all the different flavored vape products? Because technically, the research would show that young people who have never smoked before, if they started vaping at a young age, they're more likely to consume cigarettes. Is there going to be a regulation on the amount of nicotine found in vape products? And two, much like my concern with the lowering the nicotine in cigarettes and seeing the smuggling going up, the black market going up, if they do put more regulations on vaping, what will happen? The black market will go up. It already has. That's already occurred. The same thing that we see with marijuana products. The black market, it's booming. Even in states where it's legal, because of the amount of taxation on legal marijuana, the black market is thriving. I made another video on that. Check it out. I put a tag for it there. So how many more freedoms are we going to give up? Would you give up sugar? Would you give up fast food because someone told you you had to? I don't know. I think what we need to focus on is giving people advice that actually works. Looking at the data and finding out and asking people, not telling people what we think they need to hear or what we think is best for them, asking them, just like we do here at Addiction Mindset, how can we help you? How can we make this different for you? How can we change your behavior for the better? What skills do you have? What talents do you have? Everyone has something. Even if their whole life was a struggle, guess what? If they got through it, they can help other people. And financially, they can do okay with that. Now, at the end of the day, everything always comes down to money. So here's a money tip for you guys. Hate to say it, but it does. If you want, check out this company. It's located here in actually Buffalo, New York. It's called XXII 22nd Century Group. A lot of buzz about them in the finance world because they hold the patent that for these lower nicotine combustible cigarettes, and they're ready to roll this out to all the major tobacco companies. So if you're into investing, you might want to check out 22nd Century Group and their lower nicotine combustible cigarette, because that might become an FDA mandated through the White House. So, hey, you know what? If you can, make some money because you're being smart and paying attention to things, by all means do that. Do your reading on it. Again, not financial advice. I'm not the guy to get financial advice from. Just some things to consider. Let's see how this plays out. I think I expressed most of my concerns. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Who knows? I could be very wrong in the next few years. In the meantime, be sure to follow me into the next video where I talk about a timeline of withdrawals that you can expect when you're quitting vaping. I'll see you guys there.